Hello. So today's video is all about reverse dieting and all in and my kind of journey with it. Now, okay, let's break it down. If you don't know, reverse dieting is where you slowly increase your calories to eventually get to the set weight. And then all in, there are two different types. There's Stephanie Buttermore type all in, which if you don't know about her journey, I'll leave it down in the link below. She's really cool. I just find she's all scientific based as well, so I just find her like really fascinating. All in approach, which is where like you literally just eat everything. When I say like everything, like you eat till you're actually satisfied, because a lot of us that have had HA have probably got very used to suppressing our appetite and not actually eating until we're satisfied. Or there is the no period now what? All in, which is minimum 2,500 calories, but more if you want it as well. Now, I don't really know what I did. Well, no, I do know, obviously. Magpie, is it? Yeah. I did reverse dieting, but not literally reverse dieting, if you know what I mean. I very much just slowly started to increase my food, slowly started to introduce carbs, slowly started to eat a lot more. I ate a lot of nut butter actually, come to think of it. And slowly started to reduce my exercise. For me personally, that was the best way to go about it. If I was still very skeptical and was very much in a position that I really wanted to look for reasons to why I didn't. Sorry, I needed to look for reasons about. I can't talk. I was looking for proof that my exercise and my dieting and me being as small as I wasn't the reason why I was having my period. So for me, I didn't completely believe it at first, so I had to like slowly increase it so I didn't freak myself out. And that's not to say that I just kept. Oh, it's builders like, sorry, I was just seeing like orange flickers and I was like, oh my Christ, is there a fire? But it's not. It's right in the distance, like over the river is a lorry, maybe. I don't know. If it's not fire, don't stress. Also, look at the sky tonight. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Sorry, distracted. What is wrong with me? Couldn't concentrate, Chloe, and talk to your mates. So yeah, I very much did reverse dieting because I needed to slowly do it before I freaked myself out that I would then not do anything. That is not to say that there we go, I'm back to where I was. That is not to say that it was a linear journey. I very much like increased, freaked out, stepped back. I very much reduced my exercise, freaked out, and then went really hard again. And I just think that is all part of the journey. And when I get messages from people saying, oh God, like, I really don't want to give up. It's like, actually, like, don't worry. There is no set time frame. Obviously, we want to get your period back as quickly as possible. And obviously you want to kind of be free from that fitness addiction and be free from diet culture as quickly as possible. But it's up to you how fast you do that, and no one's forcing you to do it any faster. Obviously, if you're put a timeline on having a baby or something, so you need to be really fertile, that's like a different story. But I just feel like, looking back, I don't regret a thing, because actually the slower I took it, the more I learnt about myself. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of benefits to going all in, and for some people that really helps, because I'll get onto that little bit in a minute. But for me to start with, the whole reverse and just like slowly slowly trying to make those changes, I slowly started to try to understand it a bit more myself. I slowly started to like plant the seeds and understanding to my family about it. That meant that the whole process was very smooth for me. There was definitely conversations that I had at the beginning where my family didn't really understand, and I think I didn't really understand. So I didn't just flip into all in. I think as well it enabled me to really kind of like get used to the fact that my lifestyle was about to change. However, that didn't work because the relapses, if you like, were becoming very, very frequent. And actually, I would argue that in March, after I invested money with Renee McGregor, I decided to go my version of all in, if you like. So Renee McGregor, if you don't know, is a leading sports dietitian, and I worked with her to get my periods back. She looked at all of my blood work, noticed my estrogen was ridiculously low, and I basically had a form of REDS, which is relative energy deficiency. I don't know what the S means. Maybe sport, something. I don't know. If you know, comment below, because you guys are amazing. Guys, think about it. I'm talking about hypothalamic amenorrhea, and in one of my videos, I called it the hippocampus, which is another area of the brain. So thanks to the ladies that comment below. But like, I'm literally talking about hypothalamic amenorrhea. So obviously, it's going to be to do with the hypothalamus. I can never say it. Anyway. Sorry, getting a little bit excited. Yeah, so in March, I invested and started working with Renee McGregor, and she gave me a food plan to follow, and then 2020 happened, which we all know what happened in 2020, whereas everyone's lives was completely turned upside down. And actually, I feel like that was the universe's way of saying to me, you are going all in, and you are sorting this. So the gym shut. I was working from home, and my life as I knew it wasn't the same. And I was suddenly invested this money, and Renee had sent me this food plan, and I just thought, do you know what? I'm not going to see anyone for I don't know how long. Let's do it. Let's just do it. So I didn't give up exercise, which so Steph Buttermore's All In, she didn't give up exercise, but the No Period Now What book, All In, does recommend that. I didn't. I worked with Renee, and Renee and this is what I love about Renee, is she said, I'm not going to tell you to quit exercise, because exercise is a huge part of who you are. So if we're already trying to make like huge changes, why would we, like, there are benefits of exercise. And I think with all of her like psychology background, she really understood why telling someone who has exercised for years and years and years, and it's become such a huge part of them, why telling them to not do that is probably more harmful than good, right? That's just my opinion, and from working with Renee, I completely respect other people's opinions, and I completely, this is also just what worked for me. I would hate for anyone to take this as gospel, or for me to advise them to do whatever I do, because everyone is different and you need to do what's right for you. So I just want to share the other options anyway. Breathe. I just always feel like I have to do disclaimers, guys, because the internet is a scary, scary place. So yeah, I carried on exercising, but I started to follow Renee's diet plan, which was basically just really, really carbohydrate heavy and eating very, very regularly. And I never train fasted anymore. So even on my walks, that's another thing, Renee started to say to me, like, to start to view every kind of movement as if it was a workout, because that's kind of how my brain worked. So instead of now, a morning walk would just be a morning walk, but she was like, no, that's still movement, so you need to fuel for it. So as soon as I wake up in the morning, I started to have something to eat. I started off really slow. First of all, it was just like a spoonful of peanut butter or something. And then it built up, and now if I go for a run, I'll have some toast before I run, or it started off with a half a banana, and now it's like a full banana with peanut butter. Do you know what I mean? So even though I went all in with Renee, and I very much followed her guidelines, so I was eating every few hours, and I was eating proper meals, and I was eating carbs. Carbs for me was my scary food. I remember the first time, one of my meals, I had sweet potato, beans and cheese and chicken sausages, I think, because I wasn't vegan at the time, and that was such a huge deal for me. And I sat where my Christmas tree is, I had a pink table and chairs, and I sat there, and the mouth, I can literally describe the mouth, because it was like, oh my god, this food, I can feel myself like getting a little bit emotional about it, but this food I would never ever ever have eaten ever before, and here I am eating it and enjoying it, and I just felt as if my body then it felt as if I went back into my body and I was like, I know I'm going to heal. And that was a real big time. And to some, that just seems crazy, right? But to me, that was such a huge deal. So yeah, I very much kind of went all in March time when the pandemic went quite crazy. But again, it was still my version of all in. So I was following, eating more carbs, but I did what I was comfortable with. And I just slowly built that up until I got to now, which is just like, I do eat whatever I want. I very much love to eat whole foods, but I make sure that if I'm eating whole foods, I'm conscious about, and I'm a vegan, so I'm conscious about making sure I have enough calories, eating every few hours, making sure there's carbs. And I'm really, really happy to say that in my position right now, I would say I'm very much free from those diet thoughts. Is that to say that I never have those? No, I think I'm a big believer that when we're in the society that we're in at the minute, and when we're from backgrounds, oh my Christ, my laptop charger's there and it's burning my bum. That is not very good. Maybe we should turn that off at the wall and give that a little break. But I'm a big believer that we're probably going to be dealing with these kind of thoughts for a while, if not forever. And it's something, self-growth and self-development is something that we're always working on, right? And I feel like in stressful situations, whatever situations we find ourselves in, that kind of behaviour pattern, that kind of thought pattern might be what our go-to is when we're going through like a bit of a shitty time. For me at the minute, that is. So I find that when I'm stressed, I restrict more and I want to exercise more as like a form of control. But all in all, I'm all right, guys. So that is a long-winded way of just sharing my journey about whether I went all in or whether reverse dieting, and it's entirely up to you. Oh, just a quick point on that. A quick point on that is around tracking. I very much flirt on and off with that, but I think I'll probably save that for another video, because there's obviously a fine line between whether you track and it benefits you, or whether you track and it's a form of restriction. I very much am on the fence with it, because I can track to make sure I'm eating enough calories and it will tell me that I'm not. So then I'm like, great, I'll track for a few days to make sure I am eating enough. But then I can sometimes get that naughty little voice in my head of like, oh my God, you're eating that much, or oh my God, yeah, but what if you just eat under? And so I'm kind of like on the fence with that one. At the minute, I found like a happy balance of like just tracking. I've still got the app on my phone, but I might track maybe a couple of days in the month just to check that I'm on the right, or maybe I lied, maybe a couple of days every couple of weeks just to make sure I'm roughly on the right kind of lines, especially if my mood or like my energy dips and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just see how much I'm eating just to check that I'm on the right lines. And then other than that, I don't go onto it just because it ruins my mental health. And we're all here to protect it. Anyway, I hope that kind of helped and helped answer some questions around reverse dieting or all in. Just to remind you that this is just all my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and it's really important that you find what works for you. But, you know, this channel is all about me just sharing my journeys, and I hope it helps. And if you're watching this before Christmas, I hope you have a lovely Christmas if you celebrate it, and if it's after, then I hope you had a lovely Christmas if you celebrate it. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.